but if we learned anything from the past like a year or two, you know that even safe established companies aren't safe. Anything can happen. So as a recruiter on the agency side, how do you manage your desk? Well, one way to answer that is just look at everything going on from a high level. So as a recruiter on the agency side, whether you're freelancing, contracting, you're working at an agency for full-time employment, you run your own, we are basically the middle person between the candidate and the client. So you always want to make sure that you have a healthy amount of activity on both. You want to make sure you have enough clients with open positions for you to be able to fulfill with candidates. And you want to make sure that you can always have a healthy pipeline of candidates coming in so that you can qualify and then ultimately submit and manage that whole hiring process, hopefully leading up to an offer. For me personally, I think there's no right or wrong answer in terms of how you structure your day. I think, and please tell me if this also resonates with you, for me, I'm the sharpest when it comes to the morning. I feel great. I usually worked out early in the morning. The dopamines, the endorphins are just firing across all pistons. I'm sharp, I'm quick. So typically a lot of the high level stuff or a lot of the things that require a lot of like cerebral mental processing, so things like negotiating, complicated discussions with clients and candidates, any emergency fires, I do it in the first thing in the morning so that the rest of the day I can just really focus on things that require a little bit less RAM or kind of mental storage, things like sourcing, outreaching, talking to candidates, just kind of going on autopilot. So what I like to do is probably from, I would say like 8 to 10, really focus on the client side. So any outreaches I have to do, any kind of negotiations, any questions about engagement agreements, I like to do that. And basically between 8 to 10, 9 to 11, I also like to include anything else that needs my undivided attention, anything super high priority, whether it's with my team, admin stuff, whether it's clients or candidates. And then I like to basically just structure the rest of my day on blocks of just targeted sourcing, qualifying candidates for all the open positions that I have. I talked a lot about this before in previous videos. You also want to make sure you want to have a really good gauge on all the open positions that you have because they're not all the same. You'll have a better understanding of which hiring managers are faster, which hiring managers takes a little bit longer to get in touch with, which open positions are usually can generate faster response from candidates, which ones take a little bit more time. So I would always want to do like the ones that are the fastest soon and first and just get them out of the way so that you can work on the longer cycle or the slower, more difficult ones afterwards. And then depending on that, you kind of want to get a good feel for like how the pipelines are going. Are you getting a lot of candidates on this pipeline? What about the second pipeline? Oh wow, there's nobody there. Maybe that deserves my attention. What about the third pipeline? I got some going in there right now. So maybe after I do the second one, which is completely empty, maybe focus on the third one and then maybe go back to the first. So you always want to have like a daily audit, like how many candidates are coming in, how fast is the hiring manager, how many interviews are happening, how many other pipelines that you have, so that you can kind of really surgically understand and decide where you want to put your time in that day. And then if a pipeline is going really well, or you have multiple people that are interviewing for a specific job, you can of course then step away from that a little bit, focus more on managing the interview process and focus more of like your targeting and outreach on other pipelines that need help. And then essentially, aside from sourcing and targeting, the afternoon also consists of just maybe process calls with candidates, calls with clients that are about candidates that are further in process or that are in interview process right now, whether it's feedback calls, whether we have to do reference calls, whether we have to do feedback calls on the client side, feedback calls on the candidate side, reference calls, coordinating calls, prep calls, just to make sure like, you know, all the candidates that are engaged are moving forward and that they're prepared and that they have the highest chance of succeeding and impressing the team as much as possible. So basically, you kind of always want to watch your desk, whether it's on the candidate side, the client side, or just even more high level. If you feel like one's significantly lopsided, you want to spend, of course, most of your time on the other one just to kind of really increase that demand. So for instance, if you have no clients and it's easier for you to find candidates, you need to do whatever you can to focus on developing newer relationships with clients. If you have way too many clients, you kind of want to stop that outreach and then shift your gears to candidates and always have a good balance. The biggest recommendation that I have is you just always want to make sure that you just don't rely everything on one client. Even though like you may have the opportunity to work on multiple positions, you may think, oh, I'm set for at least, you know, this quarter, the first half of the year. I don't have to worry about any other business development or partnership opportunities with other companies. That could be fine. But if we learned anything from the past like a year or two, you know that even safe established companies aren't truly safe. Anything can happen. So my big rule of recommendation is that when it comes to business development, partnerships, you always want to kind of keep that going. Even like if you feel like your desk is super hot, you can't handle any more business, you kind of want to just keep that going, because you never know like which of the clients you're picking up will actually drop, which of them will actually hire someone else, not through you. And you never want to feel like you start from the beginning. So by doing that, you can ensure that your activity for your desk is just very, very consistent throughout the month, throughout the year, just giving you consistent business and placements so that you can do placements consistently throughout the year, instead of just, doing it heavy one month and now you're struggling for the rest of the year trying to find more business. So I really, really hope this helps. I think a lot of people have experimented with time blocking. A lot of people prefer doing more candidate things in the beginning of the day or candidate things at the end of the day. For me, I like to really devote most of my time to things that require a lot of thinking earlier on in the day, that require more of a high touch situation, and everything else I can just try to manage throughout the day and just rinse and repeat and just being consistent so that my day and my weeks go well. So I hope that helps.